We appreciate it. Mark, welcome. You and I get to kick this off today. We get to close out 2020, thankfully, and we get to talk about something really serious today: chocolate and gaming. Pretty heavy stuff. So excited to dive in. Longtime fan of the brand, first time moderator here. So we're excited. This is going to be fun today. So Mark, you're coming to us from New Jersey.
Correct. Yeah, I'm sitting here in Madison, New Jersey, close to our office in Parsippany, and I'm thrilled to be here, Adam, and looking forward to a great conversation today.
And fun fact, by way of Luxembourg and a Toronto native.
Yeah, that's right. So I know Ritesh from a course a while back with Roger Martin taught at the Rotman School of Business. So I attended. It was an excellent course. And then I've been international and different types and career trajectories I've had. Working at Unilever for 17 years. I also worked in London and traveled. I really enjoyed that, to go to different markets around the world and see different cultures. I joined Ferrero about 13 years ago and spent the first 6 years in Toronto office, growing all the brands. And then I went to Luxembourg for 7 years in our corporate head office. And I've just come back to North America now. As we talked, I'm in Madison, New Jersey.
Oh man, you're giving me the travel feels in a major way here. The one thing we can't do right now, but we'll get that soon.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know me, my name is Adam Bauer. I'm the head of partnerships and business development at FaZe Clan, which is the largest gaming organization in the world now. So, I think what we're going to talk about today is there's a lot of fun themes. I think that our worlds sort of interconnect, and I'm just going to go ahead and kick it off, and we can dive in if that's all right with you.
Perfect. Yeah. Just fire away. Let's go for it.
So first things first, what everybody wants to know, 2020, how did we deal with it? And I'm glad that this is the last time this year I'm publicly going to have to ask people how they dealt with 2020. Obviously this was arguably the greatest marketing challenge of our lifetime. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you navigated, your organization, because you oversee Nutella and chocolate snacks over there. So I'd love to hear more about, how that impacted brands like Butterfinger and Nestle Crunch, and even Nutella, and how you kind of got through it, and managed the short-term goals versus kind of, the long-term view.
Yeah, so I think that, when the pandemic hit, everyone was trying to figure out what to do, and we had a lot of things happening at retail. And intuitively, that. I mean, convenience stores really suffering because people aren't traveling, commuting, construction, schools. So that was a dynamic we faced on the external environment. And then people were going through check lanes more quickly or through self-checkouts. So that was a bit of a challenge. The back of the store, the aisle was where the action went. But I would say that from a marketing perspective, the approach is to focus on the long term and to build the brand equity and to build a brand idea over a more strategic, long view focus. So, not thinking about trying to mirror things like people wearing masks and the current today, but really to pull up instead of a mirror, a window to a brighter future and give people a sense of joy and optimism. We're in the joy category, whether it's Nutella on toast in the morning or pancakes for breakfast, or it's a Crunch Bar in the afternoon. What people want from, I think, these categories is to brighten up their mood, brighten up their day. And so, our mission is to put a smile on people's face, to make the world a sweeter place, and to bring joy and delight every day. So rather than thinking about what's happening in the instance, thinking about how to build a brand personality, the brand product proposition, and thinking about, how to give people an emotional uplift. That's what they want from the categories, I believe. And so we focused on a couple of things there. We came up with a new campaign called Butterfinger Investigators. Butterfinger is so irresistible. The creamy, crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery taste of Butterfinger is something that people want to steal. And so we have a thief who's smart, but an owner who's smarter because they have the Butterfinger investigators to help them get the product back and return their Butterfinger to their rightful owner. And there's this tug of war, and we had a really cool launch of that with Amir Ariston and from the Blacklist, and we basically put that into a really cool program of entertainment, thinking about how to engage people in an entertaining way, give them a return on their time invested. And I believe brands are like leaders. And if you're going to ask someone for attention and ask them to engage with you, you have to give them a bit of a return. That could be a new way to think, a smile on their face, an emotional uplift. And so that's what we did there. And we just launched a new campaign on Crunch called Everyone's Crunching. And we looked at the personality and said, hey, how do we bring the playfully vibrant personality of Crunch to life? And so Everyone's Crunching is based on a simple truth that life's complicated, chocolate shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And so just 100% milk chocolate and crispy rice of Crunch, you just take a bar, open it, eat it, and you're crunching. And so one of the things that you were saying is this is the last probably topic of 2020. So one of the things we did in a GIF was say, crunching helps me forget 2020.
That's a former life for me, coming from Giphy. So I appreciate that more than anyone. So, you talked a little bit about how 2020 really impacted the CPG category at point of sale with convenience stores being closed and, the move to kind of contactless payment. It's really interesting. And then you kind of moved on to some of the cooler things that you guys are getting into. You made a huge acquisition almost 3 years ago now with Nestle's confectionery business in America, acquired brands like Butterfinger and Crunch, which you touched on. Tell me a little bit more about, how you're bringing those brands to market in new and exciting ways. One thing I read on is the partnership, with Twitch, with Halo in the gaming category. I think that's obviously really forward thinking in new territory for some of those brands. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think that the idea is to reinvigorate these American icons and bring them back or beyond their former glory, even, and to bring them back into the life of consumers. And they're beloved brands, they're great products. But we did start with the product, and we reinvigorated that with the raw materials, the recipe, the ingredients, and then we dramatized it on the front of the pack, so you get a taste appeal there to reintroduce them to American consumers. And then we worked our way through the rest of the marketing mix. If you're talking about the Butterfinger world, again, in this world that we're living in, people are streaming more, people are looking for connection, and they're spending a lot of time in front of their TV, but they're also looking and empowered by technology and over-the-top services, able to actually avoid advertising a bit more. While they're consuming a lot more content, they're doing it in different ways. And so gaming was a great intersection of revitalizing the Butterfinger brand, reintroducing it to new consumers, and bringing it to life in an area of gaming where it's kind of like the new appointment television. So if you actually think about gaming is now up 39% since the start of the pandemic, and people are playing and enjoying that. They need a bit of a break. They need a bit of a relief or an escape. So they go into gaming and they're having a great time. And you can game better with Butterfinger. So with Halo, we've got a great program right now that you can win a free Xbox. We've got a program you can win a Butterfinger branded gaming controller. And then with Twitch, we've got we integrated the brand. We'd seen other brands do it, but if you know the way that the Butterfinger crispity crunchy explosion happens at the beginning of the commercial, we took that and said, okay, we'll make a game out of it and bring people in. And so on Twitch, we can go in if an influencer is streaming and playing the game, you can also play. It's like Asteroids. So I grew up with Atari, and Asteroids was a big game and one of the first. And so this idea that you can go in and help the chief to navigate the asteroid field of Butterfinger's delicious pieces by shooting at them. It's kind of fun. And so that's a great way for us to entertain people, to bring them some joy, to have some fun, and to intersect with what is a new phenomenon, a growing phenomenon, which is gaming. As I said, it's like the new appointment television. So
What's old is new. I love the blend of nostalgia with sort of a, and you highlighted it, what's happening in gaming this year. And thanks for doing the plug for me. I appreciate that when I don't have to do it myself. Gaming has had a transcendent year. It's no longer a niche category. It's now mainstream culture. And youth audiences consume it in a way that we never thought possible. So it's having not only a moment, but it's here. So it's really exciting to see you guys, move into the category. I think CPG for quite some time has been, a leader and a key stakeholder in the gaming category, and we're seeing, more and more brands, get into it as well. So that's awesome to see. You talked a little bit about joy categories and kind of, the idea of providing inspiration and aspiration towards a brighter future. So we have 15, 16 days left in the year. So that future is coming pretty quick. And I think we're all really excited to turn the page. Let's talk a little bit more about next year. I think when it comes to forecasting, once again, 2020 was a forecasting nightmare. But we have 2021 right around the corner, and I think everyone's really excited. We have an approved vaccine. Where everyone's thinking towards, what's next. Tell us a little bit more about what's next for you guys.
Well, I think that we're going to keep on our journey of revitalizing the brands, starting with the product, dramatizing the ingredients and the deliciousness on the pack, building into all the different touch points and looking for innovative ways to reach the audience. And reach is key for all brands, to catch new consumers, to bring entertainment and joy and delight to existing consumers. So if we vision ourselves forward a little bit, we think about what's happening in people's lives. And I think we need to be intuitive, instinctual, and insightful marketers. And, what I'm looking forward to, as we talked about earlier, is a bit more travel and a bit more outgoing, externally orientation and socialization. So, I think what's going to happen is that as you go into the warmer weather of the spring and the summer, it's playtime. And it's liberation, it's freedom. I think people are going to be out, and they're going to be looking to treat themselves. They're going to be looking to have a really great summer. There'll be, I think, some people have been vaccinated, some won't. I don't have a crystal ball and all that, but I think that people's mindset will be to really lean into appreciating others, to feeling a sense of joy, a sense of uplift, a sense of excitement and freedom and liberation as the summer comes into full gear. So for us, we think it's going to be playtime. It's going to be a moment where people are going to be excited to be traveling and connecting and socializing, and that's something we're thinking about actively as we go into the next year.
That's really, really interesting. It's great to hear the optimism. I think we're all hopeful of that sentiment next year. So obviously, a big beat for you guys throughout the year is Halloween. This year, Halloween, there was a kind of a start and stop. How do you foresee a big moment for you shaking out next year in Halloween, and maybe some other big marketing tentpoles for the various brands? Fun fact. Nestle Crunch as a kid was my all-time favorite Halloween candy. My brother and I got in epic wrestling matches over the bars, ultimately to only have our parents eat them by the next morning anyway. So, but I digress. So tell us a little bit more about next year with Halloween and other temples.
Yeah, so just a little fun fact. We are actually transitioning the brand. The Nestle logo is coming off. It's now just Crunch. And that's one big thing with our crunching campaign, is to reintroduce people to the brand. And so putting the brand into the copy, putting brand into what people are saying, and also a verb is a key thing for us to restage the brand name and to make it top of mind and interesting and engaging for consumers again. So crunching, everyone's crunching. We have a number of different scenarios and situations where people discover the crunching bar and it brightens their day. It gives them a little bit of a laugh. So we're doing that. And what I can tell you, Adam, is that for Halloween this year, I put out a table, and because I'm in the industry, I put out full-size chocolate bars. And I stood back. I was in my devil costume, as I usually am. And I let the kids come, and the Crunch bar was the number one favorite. And everyone said, wow, cool, Crunch. And that box went first. And I do think that, it's such a universally loved product and taste appeal. Of course, it went into 9 o'clock or so at night, and kids were coming still. It was maybe, I don't have a good gauge for it, but a little bit lighter. What I would say is that, during the last few weeks of the run up to Halloween, when you have the treat to trick type of experience, you have this usually a spike in the consumption, and we saw a little bit less than the prior year, even though we were on a Saturday night. So if I forecast and think just myself intuitively going, this coming Halloween will be on a Sunday, still on a weekend, so that's great. People can get out and experience it with their family, enjoy moving around. I think more they'll feel a bit more confident or a little bit more liberated. I hope that they have that optimism, and I certainly empathize with that. But I think that what we could see is that a return to the kind of trick-or-treating that has happened in prior years. And, it's such a great event for kids, such a great event for families. Who doesn't like to dress up and make believe something different and try a new personality or a new costume? And it's a great fun family event too. It's funny because what I always did when I came home was try to hide what I really loved in my candy bag. Because I also knew my parents would sneak it from me.
Yeah.
And we just ran a promotion on Butterfinger that leverages that insight that, turn yourself in. If you're a parent who's taken some Butterfinger from your kid's candy basket, if you turn yourself in and tell your story, you could win $50,000. So we did that as well. But I think Halloween for us is a great opportunity to reintroduce these American icons back to consumers and to have some fun. And we're looking forward to that in 2021.
Yeah, I love the rebrand with Crunch, because obviously that must have been a challenge in and of itself, to kind of drop the consumer sentiment of how it's pronounced and just it's Crunch only. So if any of you out there haven't seen the new spot, it's absolutely incredible. It's satirical, it's funny. Really kind of pokes fun at the seriousness that advertising can be sometimes. And I really love that about that. Just again, moving into kind of 2021, obviously habits are still going to be kind of changed a little bit. We're not going to be all the way back. How do you see that benefiting any of the brands? And, you oversee a lot. Are there any brands that you foresee really kind of winning and benefiting from kind of the situation that we're still kind of in?
I think that, my philosophy in brands is that they have to be acting and thinking and looking like leaders. And that's why I say earlier that if you're going to ask someone for their attention, you need to give them a return on time invested, and you need to give them something back. It's a way to think differently, a pause, an opportunity to reflect, or in the joy categories, an emotional uplift and a smile on people's face. So I think that as we look into 2021, you're going to continue to find that reach is the oxygen of brands. We need to continue to find ways to entertain people, to engage with them in fun ways. And so I think smart marketers, smart advertisers, smart communicators will do what we've always done, which is find a way to connect with people and make our brands interesting in their lives. And so, one of the things will be really critical in 21 is this organic, connected, and collaborative approach to building brands. No one of us is as smart as all of us. So when you take a look at, you got to leverage your partners, you've got to leverage the people inside in your internal collaborators, your sales organization, but then externally into the world of partners. We've got great partners like Pyro on creative, Terry and Sandy on creative for Nutella. We've got media Mindshare. Mindshare Media is fantastic for us, and Goal in our PR agency. We bring them all together, and I think the technology has taught us that we can all be in the same place, in the same space, in a very effective and efficient way with this kind of, conference, Cisco WebEx, or whatever platform you're using. So I think that what's been a real accelerator for us, and I'm looking forward to continuing, is that 2021 is leveraging the think tank, the power of your partners, as I mentioned, to really engage with consumers in new and interesting ways and being meaningful in their lives.
Awesome. I love that. And that 2020 has proven that, we can be effective virtually in doing this right now. I would love to be on a stage normally with you, but we're doing it this way. So I'm going to pause for a quick second. I just want to let everybody know we're taking questions. So if you have anything, please drop it in the chat. And we'll leave some time at the end so you can ask Mark or myself any questions that you have. So back to it, you just touched on Nutella. That's a very different product than kind of an on-the-go candy bar like a Butterfinger or a Crunch. What happened with Nutella, and how did it benefit from the situation that we're in?
Well, I mean, it's no surprise to anyone when you're staying home, you're looking to find ways to give yourself a bit of pampering, a bit of joy and delight. We see an increasing snacking. You probably heard that from different people, but people are looking to enjoy those moments of togetherness. And Nutella is a great product that gives you that taste and enjoyment that you can only dream of. I think the first time I tasted Nutella on warm baguette, it was like I died and gone to heaven myself anyway. And spending time in Europe, I was really enjoying Nutella as well. Then you go into, so everyone's sitting at home in this environment we're in, and what am I going to have? I'm at breakfast again, and I'm staying at home. So how do I bring some novelty, some excitement, and make breakfast wow? So we're talking on Nutella called Wake Up to Wow, and Nutella is a wow product. And you see people saying, well, I can't go out during this environment, so I'm gonna have that breakfast occasion, and it's going to be special. And Nutella fits into that breakfast. I think if we forward on that, people are probably going to continue the at-home breakfast mentality, at-home breakfast habit, because partly economic situation, but also if I just take 15, 20 minutes, I can have a great morning breakfast with my family, and I don't have to spend whatever $5 or $7 out on the road, and it's only 15, 20 minutes, and I get a great breakfast. And so I think Nutella will continue to benefit from that occasion, even as people, as I say, start to travel, start to open up, and we've seen that happen in this period, and I expect that to continue.
Awesome. So just a couple more questions, and then we're gonna go into Q&A here, and keep the questions coming. I'm seeing a few come through as we speak. So as you look around the industry, you touched on it a little earlier, but what are some new trends and categories or new platforms that you're really leaning into, and what are some opportunities that are exciting you as we move forward here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that gaming will continue to be something that we want to try to be relevant and interesting, and we want to really do it in a way that builds that community. And I would also say that we're employing all the technological, digitally connected ways of connecting and reaching consumers, and all the platforms that you could mention there. I think that we have to find a way to make branded identities come to life in a visually interesting way on very, very short formats. People want to engage with brands, and they want to have that, but they're looking to try to get them. Well, we're looking to try to give the message in a quick and simple way. But I also think we have to find the right environment connection. it's annoying if you have your social environment interrupted by brands and they're in the wrong context. That's why, we're doing it on a Butterfinger, integrating it into the game. And then when you go to crunching, that's about having fun and having this emotional uplift. Because if we're not giving something back and we're just interrupting, we're annoying, and we have to be very careful because if I see an environment where Nutella is on a crate and an environment that looking for the food and new recipes, I think it makes a lot of sense. But if I'm in the wrong space and I'm not connected and or dissonant with that situation, I'm going to annoy people. So we have to look at where our environment catches people in a correct way, so that we're again being really valued by them in their lives.
I think gaming is probably one of the last categories that you want to interrupt the experience. It's going to be anything worse than having these passionate gamers see a banner ad.
We're giving little widgets and gadgets and collection things so people can game better.
Yeah. And what you're doing with Twitch and Halo with Butterfinger is incredible. It's a great branded content piece that's engaging, interactive, and fun. So last question, we're going to switch over to Q&A. And please keep the questions coming. What are you most excited about personally? What do you want to do next year once we're back to things?
Yeah, well, I mean, being living in New Jersey and being Canadian, I want to obviously travel a little bit around the United States. I did go to California, where you're from, as a kid a couple of times. I loved it. I'm a big wine buff, so I'd love to go back out to the California wine country. I do love seeing the adventure, knowledge, and experiencing new things. So I'm looking forward to travel myself. And I think also entertaining. So, being a social animal, being someone who wants to connect with other people, I'm looking forward to, taking some of the people that I've met in the United States and New Jersey, particularly, having them over, entertaining and enjoying conversation and meals together. So I would say travel and socialization are the two big things for me that I'm really looking forward to.
Exact same over here too. I can't wait, and I can't wait to do this in person as opposed to looking at my computer. All right, we're gonna switch over to some questions here. So we have a few minutes left, and if there are any other, please send them in. So Mark, first question. So has this year's uncertainty in the pandemic changed consumer behavior this holiday season?
I think that what we're seeing in chocolate is premiumization, and our Rocher brand is growing double digits, and people are looking for extra special things that can make the celebration, the moment, brighter and even more special. And I think that that's something that we've seen, and I think consumers are looking to both economize in some areas and splurge in other areas. And I certainly find that in my daily life. There's a lot of things you don't have to spend on anymore, so you can spend a bit more on yourself. And I think the holiday season will be probably restricted, and we know that in terms of movement, but people will still look for those extra special things. I mean, I see your background there, and I'm very jealous of how beautiful it looks with the fire, the socks, that mood is just so fantastic. So I think that consumer behavior will find this a little bit of bifurcation. Obviously, e-commerce will be big, and I think that's here to stay. But I do think that also people will look to go back to retail. I mean, I personally like to go into the store. I find it a great adventure. I like to experience things. So I love to look at what's new. And being a cook, I love to select my own vegetables. So I think those are a couple of things that we'll see in the consumer behavior.
I love that. And it is a fireside chat after all. I had to set the mood to you, Mark. Come on.
Yeah.
I like this question personally as a child of the 80s. So Mark, for you, nostalgia is huge. Any thoughts of Butterfinger and The Simpsons in bringing that back?
Actually, we made a very conscious decision. We looked at The Simpsons and said, it's not really right for the future. And actually, if you grew up in that era, my kids are 20 years old. I don't know The Simpsons. They didn't grow up with it. So if we want to reconnect with a younger audience, and what we found in doing some online chats and some research is that actually consumers found that it wasn't the right kind of attitude for the next generation. And it's taking that concept of irresistibility, so irresistible you have to steal it, or you want to steal it, and nobody lay a finger on your Butterfinger, and finding a way to bridge that into a new idea. And Butterfinger Investigators was something that could champion that for us. And I think the other thing is, as marketers, sometimes if we rely on borrowed interest, we haven't done the hard work of thinking about how to create our own type of property. And so we think that Butterfinger Investigators is something that can really travel. We could see it happening in different markets if we wanted, but we can also innovate it over time and through space, and through different mediums. So you see it in promotions in the future, and Amir Arison is writing. I want to do this. I want to do that, and it's just so I would say productive an idea. So that's where we're going. We're continuing to fast forward on Butterfinger Investigators.
Yeah, and I love how it evokes like almost like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine type feel with the comedic tone with nostalgic tropes of like Mission Impossible. It's really, really cool. So interesting. The current generation doesn't like Simpsons. Gosh, that's
they just don't know it. It doesn't have the same appeal.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one. This kind of harkens back to what we're both yearning to do, which is travel. So what is the status of Nutella cafes, and how did the Nutella hotel experience help the brand?
Hotel Nutella was an absolute full strike. We got over 1 billion unearned media impressions. It was so captivating, so interesting. Actually, people thought it was a real hotel, even though it was a pop-up experience. And we invited super fans to write to us and tell us their story. And then we invited them to a weekend getaway curated by Nutella in a very premium way. And so I think branded experiences are also a way, the more you experience the brand, the more you brand the experience. And so Hotel Nutella was fantastic for that. Nutella Cafe is something where we also feel that, we give people an opportunity to experience the brand. Retail is obviously in a tough period right now, and it's not so easy to be building that out. But we think, where we can intercept culture, the cafe culture with the brand, that will be an opportunity, and we'll find ways to get people to experience the brand. We're working on Hotel and Nutella too. That'll happen in the summer, and we think that it's one of those things where the ultimate special breakfast is actually at a hotel. So that's where we're going to keep leaning in on that. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. That was extremely cool. I think we all enjoyed that for sure. So I think we have maybe one or two left here. So here's a good one. How should traditional brands gracefully enter new technology spaces? Examples: TikTok, esports. We kind of touched on gaming already, but be really curious to hear your take about maybe other categories.
Yeah, I think TikTok's a bit tough for some brands and companies because it's not so easy to filter based on age, and so we're taking a very cautious approach there and not moving forward into that space right now. But I think, again, it has to be one of those things where you find a way to best connect with culture and with the platform, and you find a way to be meaningful in people's lives. So if you try to interrupt and sell and tell, you're going to find it, I think, hard unless you give them something that is a reward, like that smile, like that uplift, or like that little bit of a sense of maybe I made you think. So I think we have to find a way to be, again, interesting and meaningful rather than interruptive and preachy. So I think technology will be part of it, and we have to find people wherever they are. We have to reach them again, and I'm looking forward to finding new opportunities to do that.
Awesome. Mark, thank you so much for the time today. This has been really awesome. Thanks for joining me by the fireplace here. I think I definitely enjoyed our talk. I hope everybody else did too. Appreciate everybody who tuned in, and I'll kick it back to Ritesh.
Yeah, thank you, both of you. That was great. Thanks so much, Adam. Thank you, Mark. Listen, I love the sentiment, right? You're trying to bring back certain things that appeal, to a sort of bring this nostalgic feel back, but then kind of doing it in a way that resonates with today's consumers. I think it's an excellent move, and I can tell you that Ferrero, as well as all the brands, the new and the old, both play a huge role in my family. It's my mom's favorite chocolates, and they're always part of our holiday, and it's anonymous. So thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Great job, Adam, on moderating.